Hello Internet, Demagen here. One of the things that I don't tend to do in between episodes is go back and look at the footage of previous episodes, because generally I just want to get into recording the next one. But I had to go back and watch my reaction to that scene with Moonbreeder's mom and dad. Yeah, I thought maybe, you know, I wouldn't look too upset on camera. No, I thought I looked being distraught, frankly. So well done, game, and well done me for being emotionally honest with how much that hurts to watch. Let's move on. Hither and yarns. The pall of anxiety over Charlotte and Hamlet has thinned to more manageable levels. Thou hast my gratitude for lending courage to the Lopperits. Not disposed to rest on their laurels, several of our guests have elected to accompany my countrymen to their stations. Some few may still come hither seeking counsel, and so shall I remain to aid them as need be. If thou art needed elsewhere, do not let me detain thee. As a matter of fact, I was hoping you might check on Alizé. Last I saw, she was struggling to carry an enormous pile of boxes out of the west gates. I could go myself, but we both know whose help she's less like to scorn. Not to mention that, much to my misfortune, I can think of several other things I ought to be doing until later. I like the fact that they're all so familiar with Alizé's obvious crush. Here she is. Hi, Ali. What you doing? Squeal, squeal. Oh, I thought it was Alizé. Demagen, what are you doing out here? No, I don't mind if you help with the boxes, but it's far from the most exciting of tasks. Are you sure? Well, I appreciate the assistance. We need to get these to Aporia. Time is short, of course, but they're full of organic specimens and samples, so try not to be too rough with them. Alphino should be waiting for us when we arrive. I'll see you there. 3 minutes. To hoof some samples. To Aporia, which is the next settlement round. I mean, they always give you loads more time than you need. Watch this be the first quest where they don't. I feel like this loop is starting to grate. Hey, Alfie. You having fun? Oh, you're helping with the crates. Wonderful, you can put that there with the others. General Dog's Body Gen. You have my gratitude, but how did you come to be involved in this? Ah, I suppose I have Thancred to thank as well. If you're wondering why we were tasked with bringing these boxes to Aporia to begin with, so was I. It turns out that this is a base of operations of sort. Those with final say as to what is included in the ship's manifest can be found here. Father included, I suspect. That should be everything. You carried all of that at once? You trying to injure yourself? Oh, hush, they're lighter than they look. Not everyone has your delicate arms. I suppose we should let someone know that we've finished? The Oppaldin is in the courtyard. We can report it to him. Why don't you come along? You should get credit for your assistance, at least. Considering where we are, we might even learn something interesting. Subtlety, Alizé. Subtlety. She is not known for it. This must be Theopoldin. How can you tell? Is it the name over his head? I keep thinking that I've seen him elsewhere, but I cannot for the life of me remember when. Gods, it never ends, does it? What can I do for you? We brought samples from Charlene Hamlet, Series 110. The crates are by the entrance. Ah, thank you. I'd expected one of my colleagues, but we are dreadfully short-handed. Just a moment. You are Fortunate's children, are you not? Alfino and Alize at your service. You're well acquainted with father, I take it? Quite. I've been friends with your parents since our days at the studium. I remember when you were yay high, waddling hither and thither. Clearly it's been quite some time since we've met. It's good to see you again, wielding your father's new liths, no less. You knew our parents when they were young. What were they like? Pray, spare no detail. I should like nothing more than to regale you, alas, I am meant to be in charge here, and reams of paperwork want for submission. We can help with that, in exchange for the sort of stories our parents would never willingly divulge, of course. Very well then. There happen to be 3 sets of documents in need of delivery, so how about you each take one? Yeah, sure, I'll help, just to get juicy stories about their parents. Wait right there. Thanks for getting me involved. You'll find a former representative waiting to collect these near the southernmost structure. I hope I haven't kept her waiting too long. Never mind Alfino and Alize, I'm certain they will be back soon enough. Former representative by the southernmost structure. Well, this is the southernmost structure. Hello. Are you not one of the signs of the 7th Dawn? I thought you were meant to be working on the Ether burner. They pulled his paperwork. I was beginning to worry he'd misplaced his quill. I appreciate your help in seeing these documents to my hand at last. As for your other task, pray keep this between us, but I sincerely hope you succeed. The Exodus is, without a doubt, the most monumental undertaking in the history of the Forum, so we must be circumspect in all regards. Risk is a privilege we cannot afford ourselves. At its heart, however, Charlene has ever been a nation of the curious. It would be tragedy indeed if we were the ones to stymie your pursuit of truth. Little bit of secret support there. I wonder if they have literally planned out the appearances of every single form of representative, and each one that we meet in our questing is actually one that is there. You kind of expect that level of detail from them. Quick and efficient. I dare say you have a talent for this work. The twins' papers only needed to be delivered elsewhere in the facility, so they should be returning in a moment. Speak of the devils. We return, with not a scrap of paperwork remaining on our persons, you will note. You both have my thanks, and my apologies for sending you on an errand far below your ambitions. Why, even as a babe you struggled out of your swaddling clothes, and... just quite enough of that, thank you. It was compromising stories of our parents that we'd asked to hear, to reiterate. Of course, of course. I've known your father for so long, I must have something. Well, as you know, part of why the Levier name garners such respect in Charlene is your family's storied history. You two can trace your ancestry directly to those who came aboard Young Cref's Hope, a lineage few can claim. I've never thought much of it myself. It's not as though our forebears founded our nation, they were simply there when it happened. Nevertheless, it has traditionally been a point of pride. It is why Youngcrust's pronouncement to renounce the ways of war and pursue enlightenments through knowledge and reason has ever been our family's creed. Until your grandfather's time, aye. Archon Louis Soir looked not to Youngcrust's words, but his deeds. He asserted, in defiance of his peers, that choosing to save the great and the small from the rising tides was the true mark of our founder's virtue. Perhaps it was his expertise, his knowledge of ancient prophecy and the fall of civilizations that led him to conclude, that's a typo, that to eschew conflict at every turn was to consign mankind to his doom. There will ever be conflict and calamity will follow, thus, to ignore the plight of those one might conceivably save is not wisdom, it is indolence. You remember his words well. Indeed, Archon Louis Soir lived by that personal creed and used every means at his disposal. Minfilia told us those words, didn't she? We've heard them mentioned earlier, and I couldn't remember who it was. I knew it was Lewis Ward that said them, but I couldn't remember when we found out about them. But no, it was Minfilia that told us in the Waking Sands. Archon Lewis Ward lived by that personal creed and used every means at his disposal to bring succour to those in need, Charlayan or no. No one loved and admired your grandfather more than his son. Yet Fortunato could not reconcile Lewis Ward's deeds with the philosophy of his forebears and his peers, a philosophy in which he believed so fervently, yet made a pariah of his father. Fortunato agonised over this contradiction for much of his life. Gods, father. A son may carry his father's blood, but his choices are his own to bear, is it not always thus? God knows Fortunato's a cranky old goat, so I'm sure you buttheads got enough. Yet even so, you must know that you are constantly in his thoughts, every moment of every day, and that is not an exaggeration in the slightest. You should have seen him when you were born. Barely recognisable he was, with a kind of dumbfounded grin I'd not seen since he first took a fancy to your mother. He was practically skipping when he told me the news. Take my word for it, he loves you to an embarrassing degree. But he is also frustratingly single-minded. Once he's decided what a given action is for the best, he will stay the course no matter who or what opposes him. A profoundly annoying habit when you're on the other end of it, as I'm sure you will agree. I'll say. Thank you for your insight. When next we meet our parents, I shall mention that we spoke. Try not to get me into too much trouble now. I need the form on my side. Speaking of which, I ought to be getting back to work. I have to make sure those specimens we bought me make it to their proper place, or the cranky old goat will have my hide. We can speak again later. Hail, you three! Hi, Graha. Aha! Surely Cockle hasn't driven you out of the forge already? For better or worse, no. However, he has set me a task that requires more than my single pair of hands, and here you are. I could use at least one of you, but I won't object to more. Unfortunately, Alizé and I have prior commitments, and we have delayed too long as it is. What about you, Demagen? Can you spare the time? Oh, I wonder. Perfect. This shouldn't take long. Oh. Much as I'd like to press Dippoldin for more revealing tidbits, we should be getting back to our tasks. It is strange to hear father spoken of in such a way, but I suppose he would find your view of me no less odd. Once forged, an unspecified task awaits you. In the event that our, and I quote, promised heap of adamantite falls right out of the bloody sky and into my lap, Master Cockle wishes to be ready to put the proverbial hammer to anvil at a moment's notice. To fabricate these parts, however, he needs the flames in Cockle's forge to burn hotter. He sent me to increase the amount of ether being funneled to his furnaces. The flow of fire-aspected ether in Labyrinthos is regulated by an elemental reactor south of here, to which I have borrowed the key. The adjustments require 2 people to carry out safely, but I can explain the process when we arrive. This is where we part then. We'll see you in Charlayan Hamlet once the adamantite arrives, if not before. This way then. You are going to let me near big machinery. Not entirely sure on the safety or merits of that, but, you know. Insufficient armory chest space. Yes, we've already got to that time of the expansion. To be fair, I didn't actually clean out my armory chest like I was planning to. I meant to, and then I got distracted with a load of Reaper gear, which is why it's full. The Harry reactor is housed within this facility. I'll be the one to go inside and adjust the fire ether output. When I do, a rather large amount of water aspected ether will issue from the vent at the top. I expect this to attract at least a few elementals, which would both rather not be drawn into the reactor itself. Trust me. If I ask that you put down any that draw too near, they'll pose very little trouble. Yes, I'm sure. Wait here, if you would. Speaking is hard. The Demagen story. Oh yeah, there's probably somewhere where I actually need to wait, isn't there? Just randomly standing there is not actually going to do anything, because that's not how this game works. Appa appa. Any more for any more? Swirling sprites. Further creatures. I do really like this armor set. This is one of my favourites. The aiming version I still think is better, but... Did everything go smoothly out here? Yeah, it's fine. I thought as much. No major complications to speak of inside either. Boom! And the water ether appears to be venting properly. I expect Cockle will have seen a difference in his forge flames by the time I return. Since I have you, there was another matter I thought to discuss with you. Nothing terribly important, merely something I've been considering. Part of this I shared with everyone, yet you and only you have been to Elpis. As we've established, refined adamantite is a product of Alag, of the Empire's twilight years in fact. It was a material which saw much use as part of the Allagans' efforts to extend beyond the bounds of this world, Dalamud of course being the most prominent. Of those who would push further, expand Alag's empire to encompass the heavens and the stars above, perhaps the greatest was its infamous technologist Ammon. Did he remember his life as Hermes? I believe he had his own reasons. There is no evidence to suggest that he retained memories of his former life. He only joined the Ascians once the Empire was all but dust, as you know. If not his memory, though, what drove him to pursue the idea with such fervour? This may seem far-fetched, but what if souls like minds have a personality, so to speak, a natural disposition towards which they are inclined? We know with relative certainty that it was the gross decadence and inexorable decline of Alag that moved Ammon to resurrect Emperor Zandi. The Empire's people spoke lightly of death and destruction, experimenting on those they deemed beneath them to fill the emptiness in their hearts. In facilitating Zandi's return, Ammon provided these languid souls with the means to free themselves from the mire of their own indolence. Or would have, had not Zandi been convinced by his own death that life itself was meaningless. Ammon's desire for his countrymen to conquer the heavens could only be a means to the same thing, to instill the people with new purpose. Like Hermes before him, Ammon was appalled by how those around him lived. He could never bring himself to believe that those lives were devoid of meaning, and both of them sought that meaning, that hope in the distant stars. Such is my theory, anyway. Ultimately, it is the consequences of their actions which matter. Their motives are of no moment, and yet... To reach those stars on wings of adamantite, to travel to the ends of creation and beyond, the promise of hope everlasting. That much I do understand. But enough musing for now. Why don't we go see how Cockle's getting on? Phew! I can feel those flames are blazing from here. Glad you found someone capable, Grab, but there's not much left for you to do. Unless you can conjure up that refined adamantite any faster. Ah, Bonds of Adamant. Right. I do trust you to deliver on your promise. I do. I ain't waiting. I want that adamantite and I want it now. We share your impatience, I assure you. Is there truly nothing else we can assist with in the meantime? I wish. This sitting about's unbearable. Pity the form frowns on recreational explosions. Well, so long as they can't prove it was premeditated. Get you gone, I've mistakes to make. In that case, I suppose I should go and return the key to the reactor. I'll have one more look to make sure that nothing has gone wrong, unintentionally or otherwise. There's certainly better uses for your time, however. I'll join you in Charlene Hamlet anon. Okay. Right. Wait at the destination spot. Oh, that's the chocobo. If you wait here, your companions are bound to turn up sooner or later. Wait. Yes.
All set, I take it?
Ah, voice acting. Excellent.
We finished what we could. Delivered supplies, tracked down escaped animals. Trivial tasks as they may be.
That's enough, don't you think? If there was anything more important still undone, that would be a problem in itself.
The vessel is essentially ready for departure. All that remains is to load the final batch of supplies and see everyone on board. Once we've readied the ether burner, that is.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, had a feeling we might find you all here.
Our consultations with the Loporrits, too, have run their course. Pleased I am to say that our researchers' concerns have for the most part been allayed, though some insist on making adjustments to the very end.
Well, of course.
For their part, Livingway and her peers have graciously offered to stay and keep the people company, lest any lingering queries go unanswered.
All that remains is to wait for the refined adamantite.
On the subject of which...
Alphino, are you there? It's me, Cryle. Your special delivery has arrived. Round up everyone and come to the harbour at once.
Speak of the devil. Let us go at once.
It's never quite clear how much of those conversations people around here. Fortuno?
Forgive the intrusion, Master Fortuno. I bring urgent news. A great commotion has broken out in Scholar's Harbour. Your presence is requested with all speed.
Oh dear. What now? Hello, Internet. Post-Dema here. In the process of editing. It's, what, 2 weeks after I recorded the rest of this episode? The upcoming cutscene, the Bonds of Adamantite second cutscene, as you can see from the hero's journey here, has a reflect quest progression option. Which means that, well, to be brutally honest, it is the cutscene in the game that reflects your achievements the most. When I did this originally, I got some interesting dialogue, but I thought, you know what, there's spaces around this, and obviously those spaces weren't filled because there was a load of content in the game that I thought I'd finished, and I haven't. Like, for example, the Binding Coils of Bahamut, which apparently I'd not completed the last one of. Same goes for Alexander, which I thought I'd finished, and I hadn't. So basically, in the last 3 days, I have been and done everything that I could. Omega is done. Alexander is done. Binding Coils are done. The Sorrow of Whirlit is done. The Auspices stuff is all done. And to the best of my knowledge, that is reflected in these cutscenes. How I'm going to edit this together, I don't know. I'll probably just put my initial reactions over the bits that were originally there. But this is the cutscene as it now reflects my progress, just because I thought it was interesting how much changes. Let's watch. It's very cool.
Now, where might this delivery be? Oh.
Oh, they found some then. Oh, jeez.
I'm sure it's very important, but we cannot accept these without the proper permits.
By the 12! Surely, these can't all be.
Oh, they got the Sky Pirates involved. Hi, Redder.
Bleeding hellfire! They're bringing them by sea and by air. All these folks in these crates.
Well, you know, we may have overcalculated.
And more on the way. Got your adamantite right here. A bigger haul than any of these sorry bastards brought, and that's no lie.
Yes, because you were charged with seeing the shipments from Gridania and Uldar here, along with your own. Give credit where credit is due.
Sounds like the sorry whinging of a sore loser. An hypocrite to boot. Ain't no way a scrawny whelp like you took a dozen steps inside a Dalamon shard.
I'll have you know, I went all the way to the entrance. Furthermore, 'twas my contacts that enabled us to enlist the cooperation of the Sky Pirates.
Left you outside so you wouldn't get anyone killed, did they? Well then, credit where credit's due, you did a right fine job sitting on your ass. Take that back. Make me.
I will not stoop to your level.
Ah, children.
My, what a grand welcome party.
Hello, Hancock.
Hancock? And Saraban?
We come bearing relics both sacred and Allagan, as well as a few other gifts that may be of help, to be presented with best wishes from the Eastern Alliance.
I myself have come with a sacred relic of Rayson Temple. 'Twas passing fortunate that Senri's dango craving brought us to Kugane. We arrived precisely as Hancock was making his arrangements. Upon learning of your need, we made haste back to Hell's Lid, with our dango, never fear, and consulted with the other auspices. All consented to the lending of Tenzin's legendary Phoenix Blade for this noble cause. Suzaku and Seiryu were nevertheless worried that it might be lost in transit, however, and insisted upon accompanying me to Onokoro, where I had intended to entrust it to our Confederate allies. I thought instead to give it over to Hancock when we chanced to cross paths yet again. But alas, Seiryu remained ill at ease, and ordered me see the blade into your hands personally, or die trying.
We did, of course, need quite the impressive
Oh,
vessel to get it
is
all
that the
here
Prima
in time.
Vista?
Fortunately, our majestic associates have been more than helpful. 'Tis an honor to join the Warrior of Light on another adventure, they tell me.
So, we've got some stuff then.
That is all wonderful to hear, but what of the extraordinary cost? I shudder to think of the ransom we must pay for such a bounty.
Fret not for your coin purse, young Alphino. Lord Lolorito looks ever towards the profits of the future,
and thus the East Aldenard Trading Company went to some lengths to reduce the financial liability.
Oh, yes.
And since the Scions funded the entire venture, not a gill need be rendered up in compensation. Everything is already yours.
We funded the venture? When?
Don't let the name fool you. This coin keeper knows a thing or two about spending. When it comes to capital investiture, a sprinkling of gil here and there will not do. You need enough savings to make waves when it really counts, which is why frugality is paramount. We also have the benefit of a generous patron. Generous being rather an understatement. She has supported us from the shadows since the very founding of the Scions. We even had coffers to fill.
Who could that be?
Mother!
Amelians.
I remain, of course, an entirely neutral party. I simply thought our family's coffers were needlessly full. We can hardly take them with us on your teeny-tiny toy boat, now can we? And would be a shame to leave all that hard-earned wealth unspent. Waste not.
We've got a lot of boxes to shift.
However did you manage so much in so short a time, though? We expected word to reach only a fraction of our allies.
End of the world,
Did I not
Thancred.
tell you I have my ways?
Ah, hello, Erenville.
Erenville? You were involved too.
Linus
I
Network.
received a letter from Cryo after we parted ways in Labyrinthos. She explained what the Scions were trying to accomplish, and why you might soon require the services of the cleaners, spread across the world as we are.
Andy. It's almost like it's been
I do
planned.
not interpret this as a betrayal of Charlie. I accept that the Forum's aim in pushing us to our limits was to preserve what knowledge we have, and I bear you no ill will for it. Yet, in collecting that knowledge, what I came to appreciate most about our star is that there remains so much we do not know. That is why I chose to help the Scions, to combat the obliteration of those countless undiscovered wonders. I held no illusions that they would be less demanding taskmasters. Though, rest assured, if I had, I would have been sorely disappointed. To make a long story short, the whole of the guild ship cooperated to ensure your call was heard far and wide.
Finally! Sid's here!
What's this about a ship that can fly to the moon?
And Nero! It's about freaking time,
And why
Sid.
didn't you mention it sooner? The one time you don't beg my aid, your problem's a bloody ship that can fly to the moon.
Sid, you brought the team.
Yay!
Of course. Garland Ironworks' finest. You need only point us towards my new favorite ship.
Nero with his sunglasses.
Oh, I nearly forgot. We stopped by Whirlit before coming here and picked up a package from Gaius. He's still of the mind that actions make for better penance than words, contrite or otherwise, so we offer none of the latter. What he sent is an Allegan relic Valens used in his weapons experiments. Has a fair bit of refined adamantite in it too.
As you like
Hi,
to
Hoey.
suspect,
Cool today.
we've also brought adamantite for Mordona's Dalamud Shard. I admit to some consternation upon first receiving Kroll's message. So few Scions remain at the Rising Stones now. Far too few for such an expedition. However, The Gleaners were able to secure us reinforcements.
Nice.
Idleshire's treasure.
Idleshire. They finally said it in voice. Idleshire. I can't call it Idleshire anymore. It's Idleshire.
I know. How the Gobbyflock fought. Slowfix's gratitude for the safe return of his daughter has not waned, and he gathered his kin to our side with an astounding quickness. The clash between their machina and the Allagan defences was a sight to behold. I wager even you would have been impressed by the magnitude of the Gobby booms.
Fascinating as all this is, I fail to see how it explains your presence here. Does Razat Han not have more pressing concerns?
We do. Yet averting the final days would be the most expedient solution. That, and I am indebted to you.
He sounds a little bit slower. Is it distance or...
Though they chose to take their leave of Thavnair, those you saved in Galimund remain my people. My gratitude is beyond words. 'Tis appropriate that I aid you in kind. If in the doing we bring salvation to others of this star, so much the better.
And with Nadina here, we can probably get some more.
You will recall that I spoke of my father, Midgard Summer, and his journey across the great expanse.
I do.
As he traveled betwixt the stars, his resplendent scales drank of the ether in those nigh empty surrounds, and imparted to him
Oh, that
the
could be
strength
useful.
to persevere. Thinking they might further your cause.
Ah, so we're going to have dragon scales on the ship.
Ashdaya's answer was silence, as ever. Tiamat and Chrisvelgre, however.
Yes, what's
responded
happened to
favourably
Ashdaya?
the suggestion. My sire, too, gave his assent.
We don't think we've ever met them, have we?
Thus have I brought you his own worm scales. Fit them to your purpose, and seek a worthier fate for us all. And seek a worthier fate for us all.
You'd be hard-pressed to find someone else so familiar with the unique properties of dragon scales. So
And the really exuberant alchemist.
Bugger me, this is so unbelievable. I've gone right back round to believing it again.
Forget a 6% gain in efficiency. With all these goodies, we could get 7, no, 10, no, 14 bleeding percent. Think of how far we could go. What we could do with that much power.
What we could blow up!
If Kokol is duly convinced, then it must be true. In which case, the Scion's end of the bargain has been fulfilled. Would you not agree?
Uh-huh. Hmm.
Yes, Father?
I know not what you seek of Hydaelyn, nor for what purpose you would take command of our ship. Yet this much is certain. To do so will be to dictate the fate of this star and the lives upon it. The lives of each and every creature, in their magnitude and their fragility. Do you understand? And are you prepared?
We have seen and we have felt how much each life shapes this world. And so we are determined to abandon none. We understand what is at stake, and we are prepared to bear this burden.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Then I will bear it with you. I beg you, share your struggles with me. As family.
He was just trying to save them for all the troubles and hardship.
You grasped my fingers with such tiny hands the day you were born. I thought my heart might burst. 'Twas love and happiness beyond expression. Overwhelming. And a conviction so powerful that I trembled with something close to rage. I had heard the final days foretold. I swore to myself then and there that I would not let them steal your futures. The great exodus would succeed, must succeed. No sacrifice or sin was worse than the alternative. If anything gave me pause, 'twas mine own father. The Archon Louisois openly decried Charlian's policies, a perspective which I regarded with increasing disdain as I grew older. Yet even as part of me thought him a fool. Perhaps I also hoped that he, of all people, would devise a brilliant means to save my children. A naive hope, but stubborn enough that I could never.
Of course, he never had the chance, did he? Because he was too busy saving the world from Bahamut.
No, that was his doing. When he perished at Cartano. As we pulled that twisted slab of Dalamud from the sea, I remembered the warmth of your newborn touch. Chastened, I vowed never again to suffer any interference in my mission to protect you. No matter that you yourselves wished otherwise. Detest me, fight me tooth and nail, I would suffer it, and more, and be satisfied so long as I could force you onto the ship. I was wrong. You two have grown so much stronger and so much wiser than I dared dream. You have earned the right to walk your own path, and already begun to do so.
Good. Because there are things we care about, and people we love, and none of them is replaceable. Not a one.
It cannot have been an easy journey for you to have come so far.
Oh, it's been a complicated one.
We shall be glad to acquaint you with the finer details someday, once this danger has passed.
If they get the
All that
chance.
we have seen and heard, that we have felt and learned in our travels.
That's the kind of speech that you give when you're planning on killing off the dad and he's never going to get a chance to.
Ours is not a kind world, but it is beautiful. Always.
Oh no. Are you quite sure that's wise? After all, someone turns pale and flees the room when he sees so much as an envelope containing word of your adventures. Whatever will happen if he learns what you were really up to.
Amelians.
Ah, bless. That was nicely done. Very heartfelt. Not unexpected either.
Though I have wronged my children most gravely, I owe you an apology as well.
Yes, you do.
I assumed that it was the Scion's influence that made them so keen to charge headlong into danger.
No.
Yours, in particular.
Nah, I just
I
kept
see
them.
now that said influence instead brought them together with the many fine people gathered here today. In which case, I hope you continue to guide them.
We don't do much guiding. We do mostly
If we
ass saving.
talking about the harbour, might I suggest we put our plans into motion? People are beginning to look confused.
Perhaps you can spare a few words ere they resume the tedious lugging of cargo. You've no small
Oh,
number of
you want me
friends
to
and
give a
admirers
speech?
here after all.
Yes, of course. Hoppity hop. Don't let anything drop. Our moment of triumph is close at hand. Man, that's a lot of people.
Your assistance is appreciated. Now, in an orderly fashion, if you please.
Well, that was rousing. But I do mean rousing, not arousing. That would be different. That's a different kind of cutscene. But no, that was really nicely done. There were lots of nice bits in that. My throat hurts from directing so many people to Labyrinthos, but that only proves we've got our money's worth. I apologise for not informing you earlier of our involvement. It was something of a contingency plan. Thank goodness we had him and his fellow gleaners to hand, though. It would have been monstrously difficult to locate Sid and transport the Hannish delegation here and otherwise. Yeah, where was Sid? I had no idea how massive a weight it was until he lifted it off my shoulders. But more importantly, his words were an affirmation that the path we walk is the right one. A part of me might have been satisfied so long as my friends and family survived the final days, but to save this star is what we all want most. And if those same people believe that I can help see it done, who am I to say otherwise? Come what may, I will fight for this world of ours. Until the very end. I cannot wait to see what our friends from the Ironworks do with the ship. If I never see another crate again, it'll be too soon. Unaided, we scions could never have gathered such a bounty. Refined adamantite, relics sacred and ancient alike. I find myself quite overcome. Police sent a letter along with Gridani's contribution. It seems she travelled there to aid in the adamantite recovery. Evidently journeying to Gridania was quite the trial, as was getting into the Dalamud Shard, as was reaching its depths. I suspect she will have a few kind words to say about the Alligans when next we meet. The time has come to claim our prize. Are you prepared? Oops, that's not who I meant to target. We've finally managed to clear the harbour, which means the rest is in the engineer's capable hands. Meanwhile, Father has issued to us an invitation. As was agreed, he will reveal the means by which Hydaelyn may be contacted. We are to meet him at Aporia when we are ready. Given the vital knowledge she holds, I suggest we leave without delay. It transpires, however, that the Forum's method for speaking with her is not without risks. I am curious to hear what those might entail, but regardless, be warned. Most of those who arrive with the Adamantite have offered to stay and see to any remaining tasks that need doing. The Forum has already asked for my assistance in overseeing the process, so you needn't worry about a thing. Thank you, Tataru. We're off to Aporia then. Something tells me we are about to be introduced to the final area. Going down further into the bowels? Demagen, I've already shown the others inside. You will want to speak with Clarillaine. She has the key to the lift and can send you down after me. So we're going down even further. Into this massive central area, one assumes. I assume this is going to be the big crystal-y place, but I thought that was most likely to be a dungeon, or maybe it'll be both. You're with Master Fortuno, yes? Just step inside the lift here. The lower levels. From here, we proceed to the heart of Labyrinthos and its most closely guarded secrets, Thormazane. It marks the beginning and end of our efforts, whence we delve to seek audience with the star, and whence we will embark on our journey to the heavens. This way, if you please. Something impressive is going to happen. I'm thinking. Going down into the depths. What's it going to be? And how long is this episode going to run over? Ooh. I saw a spaceship there. Do 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 do. Shiny. Oh, it's quite big then. I bid you welcome to Thormazane. Direct your attention towards its centre to behold the ark over which we have long laboured even. As you can see, it was designed as a medium-sized craft, the better to reduce fuel consumption. Miniaturizing magics have been applied to its interior to ensure that the thrust-to-weight ratio does not place too great a limitation on its freight capacity. The ether burner, as you know, has been removed for further modification, but we shall reattach it soon enough. I have received word that Kokol and several of your allies are working on it with an intense fervour. Nope. They are sure to see it done. It was by their expertise that many a prior disaster was averted. If anything, I fear they will not afford us much time for speaking with Heidelin ere they finish. Point taken. Let us move on. I must warn you again, however, that even with the benefit of our device, to treat with her is not a simple feat. Is it Heidelin that they've been speaking to? I'm still very, very skeptical about this entire thing. You feel it too, don't you? The ship is impressive, but it pales in comparison to the vast primordial power beneath our feet. Team enchantments most advanced have been woven into the ship's very bones. Ilsfin and Blovda were doubtless called upon for their expertise in teleportation magics. It was the Allagans who first combined the mechanical and ethereal sciences into a revolutionary discipline. Given that the ship is nothing short of a technological marvel in that precise vein, Allagan salvage should suit it well. I doubt this is what Erenville meant when he said that there remains much we do not know, but I still can't believe everything that was hidden underneath the city this entire time. Oops. If meeting Heidelin proves difficult even for the Forum, then perhaps I... Oh, it is an unformed idea at this phase, I'm afraid. I'll duly inform you if anything comes of it. She's going to give herself over to Heidelin. Or maybe that's what they want us to think. We must learn of Heidelin's greater plan. We can only hope that she also knows the current location of Meteon. We can do neither if we do not focus on whatever trial awaits us within. I can well imagine the zeal with which they're working on the ether burner, and all I can say is that I'm glad we have something to do with them getting in the way. Once it's ready, we'll see to it that the ship is put to good use. To think how many generations laboured for this end, and that we aim higher still. We must spare no preparation, and that means speaking with Heidelin no matter the cost. I have done what I can to impress upon you the gravity of what lies ahead. Are you prepared? I don't know. Frankly. What actually does the hat look like for this? Nothing! Because that's not how it works. Her children, one and all. Okay, that looks like it's going to be important. And to be fair, that is a good place to stop this episode anyway. Lots of nicely written, heartfelt moments there. Some really cool, spectacular. Look at all the friends that we've made. encounters on the docks as well. It was really nice to see people like Sid. I honestly thought that we weren't going to get to see him at all for some reason. I know he's been involved in the weapons stuff, which obviously I haven't finished, and I was really worried for a moment that he might have died or something in that quest line, which is why he hasn't showed up and nobody had told me about it. I'm glad that's not the case, but I do need to go back and finish those because I was enjoying them and I don't know why I didn't finish. Just me being stupid, I guess. Speaking of finishing, we've got an MSQ to finish. We are really close to level 90 as well, so clearly we've got a good chunk more. This is 89, so we're catching up. But there is going to be a dungeon, of course, at 89. In fact, it might even be this, and that will take us to 90. I would think we've got about the right chunk, so maybe dungeon next time. Guess we'll find out. Until then, folks, thank you very much for watching. If you have liked the video, give it the old thumbs up to show your support, and I'll catch you all in the next bit, which I'm really looking forward to. I'm so glad I'm feeling well enough to play a bit, even if I do look like crap still. It is what it is. Until next time, cheerio. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, why not click the like button and consider subscribing. Remember, you can ring the bell notification icon to get notified when new videos go live. And until next time, cheerio.